You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to our news. The headlines. Parliament shoots down motion to suspend introduction of comprehensive sexual education in schools. Controversy continues over ECZ meetings with political players ahead of the 2021 general elections. ZAF officer denies defiling 2 boys. And in international news, Trump refuses to take part in virtual TV event. And in sports news, OBREY CHIRWA offers apology to MICHO, Faz and the fans. For the details, join me shortly after this break.
Join us on the 9th of October 2020
for the National Matters Conference in Kitwe. Venue: Living Water Global Church in Wusakile, opposite Wusakile Police Station. Time: 08 hours to 17 hours. Theme: Unlocking Zambia's potential through raising a generation of generational thinkers. Charges: 510 kwacha, lunch inclusive. Please note that any payments done after Wednesday the 7th of October or on the actual day of the event will attract a penalty fee of 200 kwacha. Speakers will be Dr. Collins Kachaka.
If you have a 3 liters per second, then we say in science that you qualify to get involved in fish farming because you have adequate water.
Dr. Mushalika.
Don't over-listen to people who are happy to see you poor. They don't mean any good for us. There are no people who are developed by others. All people develop themselves.
Dr. Prosper Sievu, Engineer Bernard Chuala.
You are welcome so that we can create a critical mass of participants in the avocado industry. 1 hectare in 12 months will give you no less than 1 million kwacha. Hello?
Mr. Himbai.
You planted a deep-rooted plant into a shallow-rooted. So where is it getting the nutrients? Nowhere. So that plant, it will not give you the potence. You have failed at land preparation.
Mr. Salanda.
All of them lay eggs. You can use them for eggs and also for meat. They lay at least in a year a minimum of, to the lowest, a minimum of 100 chickens each.
All the dyes, all the paints, all the lubricants, they come from a plant called castor. 34% of our medicinal elements, they come from a castor root.
Not forgetting your host, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chidova.
It is unthinkable.
Take note, limited numbers are due to COVID-19 restrictions. Make your payments through Airtel Mobile Money on 0979 75 3010 or on MTN Mobile Money on 0962 382535 or 0962 965883.
Really been impacting on so many levels.
This was really powerful and I'm glad I didn't miss this one.
This conference has been wonderful in the sense that the knowledge that we've acquired within a day is so much overwhelming.
Should this conference come to Western Province, I urge them all to come en masse.
I didn't know that there's potential in me and wealth was lying right where I was.
The way to go right now is agriculture.
The knowledge that we have gathered out of this meeting is immeasurable.
Hurry, don't miss this life-changing conference.
With the details, my name is Liseli Kanyanga. Parliament has voted against the motion moved by Chamber Member of Parliament Sebastian Koplande to suspend the introduction of comprehensive sexual education in Zambian schools. In his submission, Mr. Koplande said the proposed syllabus is against the Christian values of the country, hence calling for its suspension to allow wider consultations on the matter. However, most cabinet ministers who debated on the matter said the motion had already been overtaken by events, as Vice President Inonge Wina had already guided on the matter and a working technical committee established to receive complaints over the same. The Vice President last week told the nation through Parliament that government is in the process of reviewing the curriculum and textbooks to be used before going before giving a go-ahead on the syllabus. But when the Speaker of the National Assembly, Patrick Matibini, asked the mover of the motion to wind up debate on the motion, Mr. Copeland became emotionally charged with the fact that some of the ministers who not long ago were insulting the PF in newspapers were the ones shooting down the motion laid on the floor of the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to raise my voice and indeed that of the Minister of General Education on the debate on comprehensive sexuality education. Mr. Speaker, I wish to begin my comments by expressing my disappointment with the motion on the floor for two reasons. Firstly, under the current circumstances, the motion is wrongly phrased. Given the guidance given by Honourable the Vice President on the matter, the motion should have merely argued the government to expedite and widen its consultations over CSE and to adequately capture public concerns.
We are also a structured institution. And this motion itself, from the debates we have heard from yesterday to today, clearly shows that it's a product which is not out of consultation. Because if it's itself seeking for further consultation on this subject, it should have started by showing that consultation. There must have been consensus, because you can't come with a motion without numbers. That's how it works here, Mr. Speaker.
Government is already ahead of this motion, following the wise and timely guidance by Her Honor the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia. In her wise counsel, Her Honor acknowledges the need for a judicious and robust interrogation in order to identify gaps and key issues of concern. This motion, therefore, Mr. Speaker, is not necessary.
This may have been a motion that shouldn't have come on the floor, and I think had the member consulted senior members on this side, we may have persuaded him not to go ahead. However, because we're democratic, we allowed this to go so that we can use it to inform the people, to educate them. And I'm sure that my honorable colleague will realize that when we ask him to not even call for the vote, it is because we don't mean ill. It is because this matter is a matter that has been well rested and does not require any further challenge or ado.
There have been debates here. There have been people that have debated. And yet we know these people, Mr. Speaker, before they got certain positions, they were in the front pages insulting the party, insulting the leaders of the party. Today, they are throwing us questions.
The honorable member for Chembe.
Kazairo kameni yako.
Let's have some order. I put a question. The question is that this House urges the government to suspend the teaching of comprehensive sexuality education in schools pending wider consultations with all stakeholders. As many as are of that opinion, say aye. Or the contrary, say no. The noes have it. The question has been negatived.
Earlier, before the decision was made, the Evangelical Fellowship of Zambia, EFZ, had urged members of parliament to support the motion to suspend it on account that it is against the national values. In a statement made by EFZ board chairman Paul Mususu, the institution says the nation must be allowed to comprehensively discuss the merits and demerits of the proposed syllabus, as it may have a negative effect on the lives of children.
The positive initiative by the National Assembly to discuss the possibility of suspending the Comprehensive Sexuality Education CSE until enough consultation and broad consensus is achieved on this matter. We also wish to express profound gratitude to our honor, the Vice President, Honorable Inonge Wina, who has called for a review of the CSE program and has since referred the matter to a multi-sectorial technical working group to be overseen by the Minister of National Guidance and Religious Affairs. However, this move can only be more assured if the motion under current discussion is successful. We therefore urge parliamentarians, both sides of the aisle, to support the motion moved by the Chamber Member of Parliament, Honorable Dr. Sebastian Copeland, and seconded by Honorable Given Katuta MP for Chiengi. This is to ensure that the national rollout of CSE earmarked for 2020 in all schools is halted until stakeholders agree on the CSE framework.
Opposition political parties have described the presidential summit called by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, as a big sham. ECZ called for a meeting to give an update on the 2021 general elections roadmap. But the opposition says they called the meeting was a sheer waste of time as nothing new came out of it. Others say the meeting was a waste of national resources, accusing the ECZ of bulldozing the process. We have more in this report.
Stakeholders' engagement is key to the electoral process, especially when the country is nearing not just an election, but the general election. This means that electorates will vote for the president, members of parliament, councillors, among other electable leaders. In making sure that this is done correctly with the new changes introduced by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, it has been meeting key stakeholders, starting with civil society, political party leaders and legal minds. Thursday, 8th October 2020, ECZ held a presidential summit, which one would say was well attended by opposition presidents, including President Galungu. In the summit, pertinent issues with regards to the electoral process were discussed. National Democratic Congress Party President Chishimba Kambwili has maintained that the 30-day period allocated for voter registration is not enough to capture the targeted 9 million voters, while UPND President Hakainde Hichilema has called for more time to dialogue over the number of matters raised if the Commission indeed is ready to conduct a free and fair election.
Is the capturing of 9 million voters within 30 days. In the discourse of the Chief Executive, he did allude to the fact that the current register was registered in 2005, 2011 and 2016 and captured a total of 6 million voters. How then can the register in 2020, when the population has grown, capture the same 9 million people in 30 days? Colleagues, electoral process brings problems if elements of arrogancy and not listening from stakeholders take root. We beg with you that let us have elections that are going to stand the test of time.
On a number of fundamental issues, very important. NRCs, we can't say NRCs are not important because you can't be a voter without an NRC. So an ECZ can't say that's an area outside this domain. Yes, it's true, but it's a fundamental logical process. So we disagree on what's going on NRCs, on voter registration. The current voter register is legally correct and it provides for how you can remove a voter. A dead person is provided for. So we cannot be talking about dead people as a reason why we need a new voter register. That is misleading the nation. There is a process in the Electoral Process Act. There's a provision. We disagree on that. The number of days allocated for registration of voters, we disagree on that because the law says it's continuous voter registration. So we can't say here that we have been given a brief, therefore it's agreed. It's not agreed. There are a number of issues. I don't want to waste time on that. Second category of issue is the process.
And in response to the issues raised by the political party leaders, ECZ Commissioner Ali Simwenga is confident that the Commission will register the targeted 9 million voters in the 30 days period allocated.
When we conduct elections, our current register has more than 6 million registered voters. We do conduct elections in one day, and more than 5 million people vote in one day. They vote for votes, they vote for councillors, mayors, members of parliament, presidents, including the referendum, which is really a more challenging exercise than the one we are talking about. If 5 million people can vote in one day, how can we fail to capture 9 million people in 30 days? I would like to appeal to you that the voters we are talking about are your members. It's your duty as political parties to encourage as many people as possible to queue at those polling stations and register as voters. Those are your clients. They are not our clients. The more people you encourage to vote, the better for you as our political leaders. So we are confident, we are not speaking from without, we've done our parameters. We think that if we work together with you, that number can even be exceeded. And that is what we are saying by pre-registering online. The process becomes easier so that you don't have to go and spend more time at that center. You just go there and find most of the documentation that has been done. You just collect your document after having your fingerprints taken.
In the summit, ECZ also announced that it has set presidential nomination dates for 17th to 21st May 2021, while nomination dates for members of parliament, mayors and council chairpersons has been set for 18th to 19th May 2021. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, Electoral Commission of Zambia Chief Electoral Officer Patrick Shindano almost collapsed as he was making a presentation during the presidential summit at Mulungushi International Conference Center. While making his presentation, Mr. Shindano was seen blacking out with his head on his laptop. Panic engulfed the room as some people were seen helping him to his feet. Mr. Shindano, however, managed to regain his consciousness and continued with his presentation. But many have speculated that it could have been the pressure on the ongoing electoral deliberations. And moving on in the news, National Democratic Party President Chishimba Kambwili has expressed disappointment at the manner in which the police are treating the opposition whenever they want to hold any public gatherings. Dr. Kambwili notes with concern that youths from the alliance partners were denied a permit to hold a rally or a protest against the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ. The youths from the United Party for National Development and National Democratic Congress Party were scheduled to protest against the new electoral reforms by the electoral body. Meanwhile, Dr. Kambwili has refuted claims circulating in the media that he said President Lungu is a drug dealer, adding that this is not true and should be treated as such.
For the past few days, youths from the United Party for National Development and National Democratic Congress have held meetings concerning a peaceful demonstration that was scheduled to take place this morning. The protest, whose agenda was to call for the immediate removal of Electoral Commission of Zambia chairperson Esau Zulu and Patrick Shindano, failed to take off after both political parties decided to cancel in what they termed to be law-abiding citizens. Yesterday, both the UPND and NDC youths appeared on TV claiming they will proceed with the protest despite the police not issuing them a permit. They claimed the police service was being biased in denying them a permit. A few days ago, a permit was issued to youths who marched to State House demanding for an inquiry of the Commission of Privatization. The NDC leader, Dr. Shimba Kambuli, announced the cancellation of the protest this morning, saying it was not going to be in the interest of the country to have their members go against the police instructions.
Last night, my brother President Hakainde Hichilema and I had an emergency meeting concerning the demonstrations that our youths wanted to do this morning. During our meeting, we discussed that it was not going to be in the best interest of the country to have our youths go for confrontation against our police officers. We do realize that what the police are doing is not of their own making. They've been given instructions. And we don't want to risk the lives of our youths by going against what the police advised.
Dr. Kambuli has, however, disclosed that a directive has been given to their members countrywide to apply for a permit so that they may hold a mobilization meeting.
Yes. But we just want to be reasonable and reasonable leaders and law-abiding citizens. Therefore, the planned demonstration by our youths this morning has been called off. We have since directed our youths to go back to the police and apply for another permit for mobilization. Apply for another permit for mobilization so that we can hold joint mobilization meetings the way the PF are holding their meetings.
Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
The Road Transport and Safety Agency RATSA, in partnership with the Driving Schools Association of Zambia, has launched the Driving Schools Compliance Sticker aimed at identifying certified driving schools in the country. RATSA Chief Executive Officer, in a speech read for him by the Principal Licensing Officer Anthony CHIRWA, says government has noted with concern the mushrooming of driving schools offering substandard driving lessons to the general public. Mr. CHIRWA explains that as a result of producing road drivers, the ultimate outcome has been increased road accidents.
Zambia continues to lose lives on its roads, and some of these accidents have been attributed to human error. A call has been made for all to play their part in ensuring public safety on the Zambian roads. In respect of this call, the Driving Schools Association of Zambia, in partnership with the Road Transport and Safety Agency RATSA, has launched the Driving Schools Compliance Sticker. This sticker is aimed at enlightening the public on certified driving schools, urging Zambians not to enroll for driving lessons with uncertified driving schools. RATSA Chief Executive Officer, who was represented by RATSA Principal Licensing Officer Anton CHIRWA, called for concerted efforts in curbing road carnage.
As the Road Transport and Safety Agency, we are greatly disturbed by any news of injury or fatality arising from the occurrence of a road traffic accident on the public roads. For us, every life matters, and it is in this regard that we have placed road safety education, law enforcement, and re-engineering top on our agenda, which is in line with our strategic plan. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that the initiative being launched today is one that will help us achieve this, because road safety is a shared responsibility. There is no doubt that proper education in any sector will determine how well the sector will perform. As such, Improved driver education in the transport sector would definitely help us improve the sector by reducing road traffic accidents on our roads. As for the learner drivers, we will be coming out of registered and certified schools that meet the requirements to train drivers.
The association, led by its president Hope Kumalo, urges compliancy among stakeholders in the transport sector to help reduce the number of accidents being recorded in the nation.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the guest of honor, Zambia has a very high rate of road traffic accidents currently, and different people have different opinions as to the reasons for this situation. The Driving Schools Association of Zambia is convinced that the root cause of the high numbers of road traffic accidents in the country is the poorly supervised standards of driver education and testing existent in the country currently. The SARS further believes that the numbers of road traffic accidents in the country can be reduced.
The Zambia Police, through its Road Traffic Safety Awareness Officer in charge, Yola Mpiri, has welcomed this development.
This project for us coming from not just law enforcement agency, but a department which deals with safety. I'm in charge of road safety awareness, and each time we get statistics, actually we are also shocked that majority of the accidents are caused by human error.
Kalan Muchima, reporting for Camnet News in Osaka.
We now take our first set of commercials. To stay with us as we have more interesting stories lined up for you.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
I have used Oracle Pure Glycerin for 2 years now. It has really worked for me. It has cleared all the black spots on my face. It has restored my skin beauty. It also smoothens the skin. Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for perfect skin. If it's not Oracle Glycerin, then it's not Pure Glycerin.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. A 33-year-old Zambia Air Force officer has pleaded not guilty before the Lusaka Magistrate Court for allegedly having sexual intercourse with 2 minors against the order of nature. This is in a matter in which Andrew Shilika of Zafndeke, male single quarters, has been charged with 2 counts of unnatural offences contrary to Section 155A of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia. It is alleged that Shilika, on dates unknown, but between the 27th and 28th February in Lusaka, had carnal knowledge with 2 boys aged 4 years old against the order of nature. When the matter came before Lusaka Magistrate Mwaka Mikalile for plea, the accused denied the charge. And moving on in the news, the Lusaka City Council says it has come up with a night program of clearing drainages in the Central Business District CBD. The decision to work at night is meant to avoid disturbances caused by heavy traffic during daytime. The exercise which commenced last last night is expected to go on for the next 20 nights, with flood-prone areas targeted, such as Kulima Tower bus station and surrounding areas.
On behalf of Lusaka City Council that the project of constructing a footbridge that connects Marapodi and Chaisa has kick-started. You may be aware that the crossing point was washed away during the rain season due to heavy rains, and so Lusaka City Council has engaged a contractor called Kaona, who is a performance contractor, and so the exercise has started. I'm sure I went there and captured what is happening there. So we want to thank the area Member of Parliament, Honorable Jean Kapata, for the leadership that she provided over the project. And Lusaka City Council is also appealing to residents of both Chaisa and Marapodi compounds to support the project and also give chance to the contractor to do his work so that the project can be completed in a stipulated time.
Medical for Quality Health Care in Zambia, MQHZ, are demanding that the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority, ZAMRA, explain why it has completely failed to stop the stealing of medicines in clinics and hospitals. MQHZ Media and Advocacy Director Francis Kangwa says it is very disappointing that ZAMRA has continued to allow theft of medicines in public clinics and hospitals. Mr. Kangwa adds that it has noted with sadness how patients are failing to receive prescriptions from health institutions when ZAMRA can easily seal the stealing loopholes. He said that health institutions have continued experiencing shortages of medicines because of pilfering of medicines by unpatriotic health workers. He says ZAMRA has a statutory mandate to ensure safety and availability of medicine in public health institutions. Hence, it is expected of them to put a stop to this public plunder of medicines.
Medical for Quality Healthcare in Zambia is very disappointed with Zambia Medicine Regulatory Authority for allowing theft of medicine in public clinics and hospitals. As the public is aware, public clinics and hospitals have previously been experiencing shortages of essential medicines, and this is partly because of pilfering of medicines by unpatriotic health workers. MQHZ has been expecting ZAMRA to put a halt to this public plunder of medicines. This is because ZAMRA has a statutory mandate to ensure safety and stability of medicines in public health institutions. We demand that ZAMRA explains to the nation why it has completely failed to stop stealing of medicine in clinics and hospitals. Our people cannot continue receiving prescriptions at health institutions when ZAMRA can easily see the stealing loopholes. MQHZ will now scale up the monitoring of availability of drugs in all public health institutions because lack of drugs cannot be entertained in Zambia.
Meanwhile, the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority, ZAMRA, has dismissed allegations made by the Medical for Quality Healthcare in Zambia that it has allowed theft of medicines in most public institutions by unpatriotic health workers. ZAMRA Senior Public Relations Officer Christabel Iliamupu says ZAMRA's mandate is to ensure that medicines and allied substances are made available to public institutions.
Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority, ZAMRA, wishes to dismiss allegations circulating in some sections of the media regarding the authority allowing theft and non-availability of medicines in public health institutions. As provided for under the Medicines and Allied Substances Act No. 3 of 2013. The mandate of the authority is to ensure that medicines and allied substances being made available to the public conform to set standards of quality, safety, and efficacy throughout the supply chain. So this is important in the protection and enhancement of public and animal health. And in this regard, the authority wishes to urge health care facilities to ensure safety of medical products through instituting mechanisms to prevent pilferage of medicines and allied substances. And more specifically, we wish to appeal to members of the public to ensure that they consult and engage the authority on all issues relating to its mandate. This is very important in order to avoid misleading the nation as well as causing alarm. So at ZAMRA, we have an open door policy which allows that stakeholders can engage us on any issues of concern. We remain resolute in our resolve of ensuring quality, safety, and efficacy of all medicines and allied substances.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development, CTPD, has urged the central bank to intervene in the foreign exchange market and buy domestic currency using foreign currency with the view of countering the depreciation of the kwacha. CTPD senior researcher Public, Dr. Gabriel Pollen says long-term solutions are to build an integrated structure of production with wide-ranging leakages across and within sectors which will insulate the economy from the notions of the external sectors while building surplus for the economy. Dr. Pollen's comments come in the wake of the continuous depreciation of the kwacha, which he says will have negative effects on the country's economy and its debt repayment. He explains that factors driving this are mainly associated with external forces and the production structure of the Zambian economy, which is dependent on imported products. Dr. Pollen has since urged Zambia to put corrective measures even on a short-term basis while finding lasting solutions to the country's currency status.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development would like to comment on the dynamics of the depreciation of the kwacha and its implication for the Zambian economy. In the last 11 months, the kwacha depreciated by around 33%, rising to around 20 kwacha per US dollar. Bank of Zambia has explained that this is mainly associated with low foreign exchange sales from the mining sector, as well as increased demand for foreign currency due to pressure on agricultural and medical supply imports. Depreciation of the foreign currency has wide-ranging implications for a country. It has downsides and it has upsides. One of the upsides is that it makes exports cheaper with the potential to raise export earnings. And another upside is that the depreciation can encourage foreign investment in form of foreign direct investment, as it makes an economy a cheaper destination. Nevertheless, a depreciation may also impose a range of negative effects. In Zambia, one of the critical issues has to do with the cost of doing business, in addition to the cost of energy as well as cost of imports, with attended implication on domestic prices, which might raise the cost of living. Another downside has been due to its impact on the national budget. In dollar terms, the national budget has actually gone down, though it has gone up in kwacha terms. In the short term, the central bank can intervene in the foreign exchange market and buy domestic currency using foreign currency. However, the long-term solution is to build an integrated structure of production with wide-ranging linkages across and within sectors, which will insulate the economy from the vagaries of the external sector while building surplus for the.
We take another set of commercials to stay with us as we have more interesting stories lined up for you. Don't go away.
We all miss the days we would play outside, go to school, and visit fun places. But now, we all have to take care to prevent the coronavirus. Viruses are really tiny particles that we can't see with just our eyes, so we need to keep ourselves safe by practicing good hygiene, such as washing our hands with soap and clean water regularly. We can also use hand sanitizer to keep our hands clean. It's also important for us to keep our bodies and surroundings clean. We must also avoid handshakes, hugs, and standing close to other people in public places. This is called social distancing. The coronavirus has affected millions of people around the world, so we need to stay safe. In the meantime, we can keep ourselves busy by reading a book, watching TV, and doing some schoolwork. There's so much we can do indoors. Stay safe, stay home, and prevent COVID-19. We're all in this together.
This advert is sponsored by the Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA. My tax, your tax, our destiny. Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. In international news, U.S. President Donald Trump has refused to take part in a virtual TV debate with his Democratic rival Joe Biden. The commission organizing the debate in Miami on the 15th of October had earlier said it would have to take place remotely. It made the decision after Mr. Trump was treated for COVID-19. The president said he would not waste his time on a move designed to protect his rival. Mr. Biden's campaign said Mr. Trump was trying to evade accountability on his failures on COVID and the economy. Both teams later appeared to agree on the 22nd of October as a rescheduled date, although what form the debate would take place is unclear. In other news, aid agencies are warning of a sharp increase in coronavirus cases across Syria. They are worried that a lack of infrastructure in opposition and Kurdish-held areas means doctors will not be able to deal with a significant outbreak. And despite the relatively low numbers of cases confirmed by the government, the United Nations says there is a widespread transmission. Al Jazeera has more.
Reports from inside Syria continue to point to a much broader spread of COVID-19 than the number of confirmed cases.
The United Nations has been reporting rising infection rates in Syria for some time now.
Given the limited testing across the country and challenges in contact tracing, it is likely that the actual number of cases far exceeds official figures.
The Syrian government reports nearly 4,500 cases and 200 deaths and portrays the situation as under control. But multiple sources question that narrative. They say infections have been in the tens of thousands and at least 65 doctors died as they struggled in ill-equipped hospitals with a lack of protective gear.
Many patients are treated at home because hospitals are not equipped or do not have the capacity to deal with these patients. Many hospitals have closed their doors to COVID patients because they did not want to infect other patients. The government have designated only 1 or 2 hospitals in every city to accommodate COVID patients.
Infections have also increased tenfold in opposition-controlled territories in northern Syria. At least 30% are health workers. Coping is a challenge, especially because there was a health crisis before the coronavirus outbreak. Hundreds of medical workers were killed and facilities destroyed during the war in a deliberate campaign by Syrian government forces and their allies. Medical workers say they are on the brink of an emergency.
Before the pandemic, we used to work from 9 till 2. We are now working from 9 till 7 and sometimes even longer hours.
Despite that, testing remains limited. This medical laboratory serves up to 4 million people who live in Idlib and nearby areas.
Even when we have centers up and running, we don't have sufficient test kits. That is going to be a challenge coming down the line, to be able to test as many people as would be needed, and also people who are trained to analyze the tests. That also has been a challenge.
Efforts are being made to slow the spread by raising awareness and distributing hygiene kits. In this densely populated and impoverished region, where many live in camps, sanitation is a challenge. With the shortage of medical equipment and supplies, as well as a weakened health infrastructure due to 9 years of conflict and government neglect, communities are vulnerable. Zana Khader, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
We now move into sports news. Tanzania-based national team forward OBREY CHIRWA has apologized for failing to turn up following a national team call-up from head coach MICHO. CHIRWA, who turns out for Azam FC, missed his flight together with Simba SC midfielder Cletus Chota Chama, and the duo was later dropped by MICHO. CHIRWA took to Instagram to explain his side of the story. According to the former Yanga striker, there was a delay in acquiring the COVID-19 certificate, so he could not travel and missed his flight. CHIRWA went on to promise to do better the next time a call-up is made for him. He says he was supposed to have traveled to Zambia on the 5th of October, a day after club duty with Azam, but sadly, due to the delay in acquiring the COVID-19 certificate, he could not travel and has thus missed his 3 a.m. flight. That sports item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines once again. Parliament shoots down motion to suspend introduction of comprehensive sexual education in schools. Controversy continues over ECZ meetings with political players ahead of the 2021 general elections. ZAF officer denies defiling 2 boys, and in international news, Trump refuses to take part in virtual TV event, and in sports news, OBREY CHIRWA offers apology to Mitchell, Faz and the fans. The Camnet World Verse of the Day is coming from the book of Deuteronomy 31 verse 6, and it reads, "Be strong and courageous, do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." On behalf of the entire news production crew and myself, Liseli Kanyanga, thank you so much for watching the news on Camnet TV, not just another channel.